All right, on this episode of the LPDS, we get into some standard tinfoil hat updates, a little bit of a Yankee update. I update you on how things have been going for me throughout this last week with the mentals and the demons and what have you. And in the junction, we get into an updated list of grocery store etiquette to remind us how to act in a grocery store. All that, plus a nice little Cage fact coming at you right now. All right, Jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to the Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti, a show that talks about nothing but tries to find the lessons in everything, and we have a good time doing it. Hope everybody had a good week. We'll talk about that. I'll talk about my week in a second. Not too many updates for you, but just to get this out of the way, of course, I saw an interview with Alan Richson. Big fan Alan Richson, Reacher. You know how I feel about anything Reach Daddy does and his movies and shows and what have you. He goes off every once in a while on political stuff. He's not a Trump fan. That I don't care. I don't care about political views so much. But it highlighted an issue that I continue to have with celebrities voicing their opinions. I don't think they should be silenced. I don't think anybody should be silenced, whether we agree or not. That's neither here nor there. But I wish when it comes to celebrities who have a platform and influence people, excuse me, anybody, Reacher, Taylor Swift, Sage Steele, the prior ESPN anchor, anybody with a platform, any celebrity type who changes out of their normal day-to-day ops to start talking politics stuff. My issue is when they're going off of just what the media and the propaganda and the bullshit is telling them. And that's what Reacher was doing in this interview. He was talking about Epstein stuff, which I'm here for. Keep that conversation going. But he was just going on about Trumpy Bear in it and how he's, doing stuff to kids and this and that. He's bad and this and that, all this shit. We've kind of investigated this. You can there are plenty of things to dog on Trumpy Bear for. Let's be honest. He's a human being like everybody else. He's in politics, so there's plenty of crap to go on. But that portion that he was talking about was just not the case. He had other stuff he could have ranted about, Reach Daddy, that would have been more valid and I think would have made the message actually more credible and hit more. But he chose to go with the salacious, already proven nonsense stuff. And because I like Reacher, I almost want to have a conversation with him and probably be like, "Hey, man, I'm not telling you to agree with me, but if you're gonna send this message, use the facts, you know, because there's plenty of stuff in there to talk about the Epstein files. We talk about it here ad nauseum. There's plenty of stuff to actually point to when you're trying to make a point about it, when you're trying to argue and debate and present a thought on it. It just kind of killed his argument when he started. He wasn't making stuff up. It's what he heard. It was stuff that was made up. And like I said, I'm not here defending Trumpy Bear by any means, because like I said, there's plenty of stuff we've talked about in the past with the Epstein crap specifically. I'm not talking about other politics stuff. That's a different conversation, not for the show anymore. But there's stuff in there that you can talk about that push the same message. And his message was really like the same message that I have, basically. It's crazy that most of the people in power in this country, in this world, have a connection to this whole Epstein stuff. And that not enough people are talking about. Everyone seems to be like, okay with, oh, whatever, it's not a big deal. We're on the same page in the message, but we have to make sure we're pushing the true facts, the stuff we know right now. There's so much stuff we don't know that they're hiding from us. But it doesn't hit as much when we're talking about stuff that's not true. So I would love to have a conversation with him and say, hey, look, I'm with you on this message. We might not agree on everything in life, which is fine. We're human beings. We're not supposed to agree on everything in life. But we agree on this general principle that our country and our world should not be governed and led by these disgusting people. How can we actually make this a movement? And then we dig in and we find the facts and the evidence that's going to support the argument and not make up the stuff, because then you get into that, then you become part of the problem when it comes to what's real and what's not, what's propaganda, what's lies, what's just trying to cause division and chaos. And we're not trying to cause division and chaos. We're trying to bring us all together on this one, what I consider to be a giant issue that is being swept under the rug. So that's, I guess, the update for the week on the Epstein stuff, is that I am happy that he's talking about it, honestly. He went off on that tangent that I didn't necessarily agree with, mainly because he wasn't backing it up with good evidence, if you will. But I'm not mad that he's bringing the message. Same with that guy CT Fletcher I talk about. He's a super anti-Trump, so most of his stuff is around Trump specific. But we have to remember, Epstein stuff started back in the early 2000s and even before that. Way before that. You know, he's had ties with stuff since the Iran Contras. That's where he kind of got his start in the game, if you will, the evil game. So we're talking 70s, 80s time frame, 80s time frame, up and on. So instead of cherry picking the current state, I guess that's the hot, that's what's going to get the people viewing, the clicks and stuff. Maybe that's their intent. But every president before has been involved in this, whether it's being part of the active operation, if you will, or sweeping it under the rug. I'm not saying every president was on the list and doing bad things, but they all knew about it. They all knew about it. So I think there's a way we can make this message stronger. I need to have a talk with the Reach Daddy and see if we can get him on board, because he certainly has a bigger voice than me, bigger muscles too. He's a hunk. But let's come together and spread the awareness that needs to be spread, and fight the propaganda and the bullshit to bring us together, to bring these people to justice. And that's all I got to say about that. Now that we got that out of the way, you can tune back in and we can get back to everything else. Yankees, very quickly. No stream last week. There was supposed to be just an afternoon game last Wednesday, but then they had a rain out Tuesday and they did a doubleheader. And it was too last minute for me to decide to stream. People were busy. I didn't want people to just have to feel obligated to stop what they were doing to tune in, that usually tune in. So it wouldn't have been a good stream. So I opted it was too last minute to just hop on a stream that day for the evening of the doubleheader. So we didn't do it. I'll check the schedule to see if we do another one this Wednesday. But I'll keep you posted on that. The Yankees have moves they need to make before this trade deadline approaches, and it's fast approaching. And there was one thing I noticed. Aaron Boone goes on the Talking Yanks podcast pretty regularly. Those were, John Boy Media and those guys. They were the ones that kind of got popular when they broke the Houston Astros cheating scandal. They were the ones that posted the trash can videos, and it got it went viral, and that's really kind of helped almost launch the investigation because they were like the first people to have the videos to kind of show like what people were talking about, where the rumors were flying and stuff like that. And then yes, eventually kind of picked them up on a contract, so they've toned it down. They're they're okay, but they've definitely toned it down the Yankee criticism, which I get. Obviously, they're getting paid by Yes in some way, shape, or form, even if it's a part-time thing or just a contract thing. But I don't listen to them too much anymore. Regardless, they get Aaron Boone on now because they're part of Yes, so he goes on pretty regularly. And I think the idea was supposed to be like, oh, well, these are the guys that are going to ask the tough questions and not just like with the post game press conferences where it's all softballs and Aaron Boone doesn't he can just duck these questions and get out of there politically if it's very much similar situation. He usually talks a little bit more in these podcast interviews he does with these guys regularly, but it's still a lot of the same kind of ducking, gaslighting, no, you're wrong and we're right kind of thing, the same kind of bullshit. They do ask some tougher questions than you kind of get from the regular press, but it's, they don't press the issue more or call out kind of the BS as much as I would like them to. And again, I know there's a reason why. But Boone was on this past week and they were asking him about the catching situation. Specifically, JC Esquera, who was the backup catcher. He's in the minors, and the past several games, he's been hitting really well down there. And they asked, "Hey, you know, he's doing real well down there. Any thoughts about bringing him back up and getting him in there, get some ABs back up at the show, and filling the obvious hole, the automatic out in that lineup, in that roster spot right now." And Boone, the only time he was acting normal in this instance was when he was talking about Wells specifically. He said some bullshit like, "Oh, well, Wells has been struggling, but I really like the way his at bats have been the past 6 or 7 games, so I want to keep seeing any progression and stuff." And if you look back at the past 6 or 7 games, the only thing he's done differently is that not every at bat is he swinging at the first pitch, and he's mixed in a hit or two every once in a while. But it's not his numbers are still the worst in the league at the catching position by far. He's not getting better enough for me or anybody really to be justifying keeping him in the starting position. But after that, Boone sort of kind of went quiet on everything else. They switched back. The interview switched back to JC Esquera, a little bit of Ali Sanchez about like, hey, well, about JC, he's hitting well. Are you going to bring him up and get him in there? Let's just talk about him and his and your thoughts on him. Forget about Wells for a second. Obviously, you're not going to change your tune on Wells, whatever. And normally what Boone does is he will kind of talk through his thought process. Whether you agree with it or not, I actually appreciate that. Most of the time I disagree with it, but at least he talks through it. And this time he didn't. All he said was when they asked, like, any thoughts on making a move and bringing him up, all he said was, not right now. We got the trade deadline coming up. So, yeah, not thinking about anything right now. I was expecting like, oh, we're not going to move him up now because we still wanted to get him more at bats down there to build his confidence and see if it's going to stick a little longer. If we're afraid if we move up too early, he'll get back into a slump and then he'll be useless again to us and we'll have to move him back down. And that's not good for their psyche, getting moved down, up and down all the time. So we're going to play this out a little longer and see how it goes. None of that. He said none of that. All he said was multiple times is, nope, not thinking about any moves right now. Nothing like that. Not thinking about for him. Which makes me think that the Yankees are looking at some sort of trade move at the catcher position. and I'm throwing it out there now publicly. I talked to Creature and Wet Cat about this a little bit, and Crazy Carol too, actually. I think they will be making a move at the catcher position. I don't think it's going to be Wells. I think they're gonna make a move with JC or Ali Sanchez. I think they're going to use them as either trade bait or DFA one, whatever it may be. I think the catching move that they make is going to be one of those two guys because they're hard up on Wells. I don't know why. It's not as bad as with the Volpe situation. We know why that is because of Cashman's ego and stuff, but they kind of backed Wells a lot too, and they gave him too much leash. They have Ben Rice, who was a catcher. And I know they're going to use the excuse, well, he doesn't have enough time as catcher. He wasn't as good, so that's why we decided to move him at first base. But you can't get any worse than Wells right now. So it can't hurt. When you have Goldschmidt still, and you also have Bellinger who can play first, it can't hurt to try Rice behind the dish a little bit. Get him some reps, see how the pitchers react to him. Even if they start him out in the bullpen to get used to the pitching this season, the pitchers this season, and get on the level playing field or whatever. It can't be any worse. Worst case scenario, he's just as bad as Wells, and you move him back to first base. But this is just purely defensively because Ben Rice is still, whether he's playing first or catcher or DH, his bat is still the best in the lineup right now. So you're actually not hurting the team by moving him to catcher. You're not hurting the team any more than having Wells back there. And I know they say, well, Wells is a better defensive. He's not. He's not good. He is not good. And I could talk about that thoroughly with evidence to back it up as to why he's not actually a good catcher and he's hurting the team back there defensively as well. But I've talked about that a lot. We'll talk more about that portion on the stream. So I don't understand why they don't give Ben Rice a shot back there again. I know they're saying, like, we want to make him the first baseman when Goldie's gone and retires. He's going to be our guy. And I get that, but you have Goldie now. And you have an absolute liability in a critical position behind the dish. So you have Goldie. You're not losing anything at first base by having Goldie there or even Bellinger there. If you put Bellinger there and you give Goldie a break, you still have the outfield. You have too many outfielders. And when Judge gets back, you're going to have even more outfielders. So that's actually going to alleviate the outfield situation with getting guys playing time and at-bats and stuff who are outfielders. And then you have Ben Rice behind the dish. His bat's still in the lineup. So it doesn't make sense why they're not doing that logically just to give it a shot. So that's what makes me think that they have no plans to do anything with Wells come the trade deadline. Hopefully I'm wrong because I think he needs to be dropped to the minors or DFA to maybe they make a move. They get rid of Esquera and Ali Sanchez and they get a decent enough catcher like a Shane Langoliers from the Athletics and then he's their starting catcher and then Wells becomes the backup. But I think if they're making catching moves, it's not going to be Wells. It's going to be one of those two as possibly trade bait. Or even dumber, they just DFA that in one of them for some other no name that they keep in the minors and it's still the same old story behind the dish anyway. I don't know. But that's really all I got on the Yankees this week. We'll see if we got a stream coming. I'll keep you posted. Check the Instagram and the Facebook page. And that's all I got to say about that. As far as my week goes, slightly better, certainly more productive. Still emotionally kind of in my head about shit. Not just the VA stuff. The VA's fucking me big time. They already denied my appeal claim for my neck within 2 days. As soon as I got the notification, the text message saying, oh, we made a decision on your claim for your neck, I knew immediately that it was going to be a denial. So I'm going to have to appeal that again. Because when they approve something, they take their time to see any way they can weasel out of it. So it's been frustrating because I'm like, of the people I've talked to, I don't want to be one of those like I'm the only one who's got to deal with this. Of the people I've talked to, I am the only one so far that has gotten a VA disability rating reduced when my condition got worse. And that's how this all started. I went in to get evaluated because my neck has been getting worse. And I got evaluated, and they're like, nah, actually, according to us, it looks better. So we're going to reduce your VA rating. And then I appealed it, and they're like, nah, we're good with this, even though it's very clear, like the numbers show that it's significantly worse based on their scores and bullshit. So I'm going to fight that again. I tried to schedule an appointment with the VA healthcare, and that's not for another month. That's the earliest they can get me in, August like 27th or something. But I still have the war pain, the shoulder, the knees, and other stuff. Those claims are in there. Haven't heard any word on those yet, so maybe one of those. Maybe I'll get an evaluation out of those additional evaluations. We'll see. But that shit has just been frustrating because it's like piling on with all the other stuff going on in my life. You know, financial stuff, dating stuff, then this stuff. You know, I know the government is the most frustrating. I I'm actually usually less angry about that stuff because I already know it's like, oh, this is going to be a long, frustrating process because they suck. So I'm just going to deal with it. But it was icing on the shit cake of like, God damn it, now I have to go back and do another claim to keep this rolling. Like it's already been three additional claims to get them to stop fucking around with people. So I'm still working through that. We're good here. Like I said, things have been more productive. Um, Good game planning with spearhead content and outreach and stuff like that. So we're working through it all. Things have been better. I appreciate everybody who did reach out, who listened last week. I always, you guys are the best. You're always supportive. That's the if we could turn the LPDS universe into the general like population of the world, even just this country, we would be in a better situation because everybody here in the LPS universe has their own lives, their own opinions, their own experiences, and we can disagree and we can give advice, and we're always there to support each other, and we're not there to judge. And you're not seeing that I have a different opinion on things or a different experience, and then ostracize me for it, and vice versa. And I just think you guys have been great with that. So you're a huge support, so I appreciate that. So thank you to all those who continue to reach out and be, you know, and make this universe great. The LPDS universe is the best around. And it's a shame that more people haven't seen it yet. But anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Let's just get right into the good stuff now. Let's step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by Big League Chew Fingers. Do you ever throw a fat wad of Big League Chew bubblegum in your mouth and think, man, I really wish I could pair this with some chicken fingies right now? Because I know I have. Well, now you can with Tony Rigatoni's all-new Big League Chew Fingies. Now, open up a pouch of your favorite flavor of Big League Chew. Grab what you think is a wad of just gum, only to realize it's a breaded, delicious, finger-shaped stick of your favorite gum and your favorite fine dining entree combined into one perfect bite. So to get your Big League Chew Fingies today, head on over to your local Little League concession stand. And if you use the promo code Perfection in a Pouch, you get 29% off your first pouch of BLC FDs. Big League Chew Fing Daddies. All right. Stupid. The cage fact. I'm going to be completely honest with you. There's a non 0% chance that I've used this fact before. I don't remember. I did some digging on Nic Cage updates and facts and this and that, and there is no better archive of Nic Cage facts than the LPDS. I kick myself every day for not creating a site that puts all these facts and updates out there. I still might do it. I might see if I can get like ChatGPT or Claude to go through the catalog. I don't know how that would work and list them all out and kind of go from there. I don't know. And then build something from there. I don't know. I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to spread the good word on Instagrams, stepping into the cage, but kicking myself. Anyway, at one point, way back in the day, as we know, Nic Cage owns a bunch of different weird pets and animals. We talked about that. Monitor lizard, crow, different types of birds and what have yous. And one of the things he owned was a pair. He owned two king cobra snakes. And if you're not familiar with the cobra, it's the snake that pops up and it's got the wide head and it kind of stares at you like this and then it attacks. And you have the Alibabas out there, they have them in the basket and they're playing their little skin flutes and they're doing and the snake is dancing and all this shit. That's a king cobra. That's a cobra. And he owned two of them. And he said he used to go in there into their pen. He had a whole pen for them and just put them together and have them like dance and posture up against him and each other and playing with fire. That's what he basically was doing. Well, he told this story on like David Letterman years ago. And after he told it, that whole thing about what he does with the cobras, his neighbors did not like the fact that there was two king cobras in their neighborhood that could potentially get out and cause havoc. And they put the squeeze on him so much. I don't know if he had to deal with an HOA or what, but he ended up having to rehome them. They probably, knowing California, I think he was in California at the time, knowing California, they probably have some law against that stuff, and they were going to treat him like a criminal, in the sense that they're actually going to, arrest him and do something about this, as opposed to what they do with regular criminals out there in California. So he had to rehome them. He had to go put them up. I don't know where he sent them off to. Some basket in the middle of India or somewhere, or wherever they do that. That's probably culturally incorrect, but I don't know where they do the dancing cobra stuff. Arabian Nights, maybe Saudi Arabia. I don't know. But at one point, part of his pet collection were two dangerous king cobras. So there you go. I got to dig through more Spider Noir to see if there's any good like facts or tidbits I can share of that. I'm not worried about spoilies. Obviously, we passed the deadline for that, but some of the stuff we've kind of talked about already that was facts but not spoilies. Like how it was his idea to have them shoot in color as well for the younger crowd because they weren't going to probably connect with the actual black and white in a noir. His idea, the Bugs Bunny, Humphrey Bogart way of portraying his character. We talked about that. It's not really like it wasn't really spoiling anything. As far as the storyline and the plot goes, not a lot of the stuff are Cage facts. I can share like funny scenes, additional funny scenes. We can do that. What I actually think about doing is what I mentioned previously that nobody gave me feedback on, honestly, was starting to do, when we in devoid of Cage updates on new movies and stuff coming out, we could do Cage trivia, and I can ask a Cage question from a movie or a life update or a pet that he used to have, and then I could throw it on Instagram and have you guys chime in with an answer, or you could call the hotline and we can try to have fun with it that way. So stay tuned for that. I'm probably just going to do it in, absent of any feedback on it. Probably going to do it anyway. But there you go. That's the Cage fact for you. You're welcome. All right, let's keep this train moving right along. Step into the junction here. Spin the logo up. We've talked about some of this stuff in the past, but I want to use this as an annual, I guess, maybe reminder on grocery store etiquette. And this has been, come every time I go to the grocery store, I'm always reminded of why I hate going to the grocery store and why I hate going out in public these days. I know we've talked about putting your cart back. We had a whole Stugats of the week over that. And that's like part of LPDS universe lore. People will still send me video clips or memes or posts that somebody else posted about putting your shopping cart back. I'll still get those to this day, and we talked about that like 5 or 6 years ago. So I don't think we've ever talked about full grocery store etiquette. And if, like I said, if we did, this is another reminder, just kind of like we do with the gym etiquette as new things pop up. We talked about like tripods and stuff in the gym. That's new stuff that we didn't have to deal with 6 years ago as much. So we evolve and we continue to update people on this stuff. We'll probably do an update to airfare, flying etiquette soon enough, especially since Spirit Airlines is bankrupt. So all those clowns are now on the big three airlines. So that, they can use an etiquette update. But grocery store etiquette, is every single week I deal with almost every single one of these issues I'm going to bring up, and I'm sure I'm missing some. And I'll poll the audience on anything I miss if you want to chime in with additional things that you notice going to a grocery store and having to deal with. Shopping cart number one, putting your cart back. It's unbelievable the laziness and lack of care of people doing that still to this day, even though there's people out there that are calling out more and more now. I saw a guy, he was parked next to the cart corral thing. Put your cart here. He was parked next to it. And there was one cart in there. It was kind of sticking out. All he had to do was push his cart into that cart and then push it 1 foot, and they both would have rolled well inside the cart corral. It wasn't full where it was like, I don't want to put it in there because then it's going to stick out into the driving part of the parking lot. So I'm not going to do it. No, it was one cart halfway sticking out towards the end because somebody kind of put their cart in there but didn't push it all the way in. It was like they were 90% of the way to being a good person, 95% of the way. This guy takes his cart and puts it up on the curb on the other side of his car. So he had curb and grass patch, his car, and then cart corral. And he chose the harder one, if you think about it, to pick up the car and put it on top of the curb as opposed to walking it around the back of his car 6 extra feet to the car corral. And I said something. I asked, I was like, hey, do you need help? Do you need help with that? You need help putting that into the cart corral over here? And he was like, no, why? I was like, because it's right there, and you're choosing to inconvenience people by putting it there. So I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt and see if maybe you were dealing with an injury, you couldn't walk, or whatever it might be. I didn't want to judge you. I didn't want to immediately assume that you were a lazy, good for nothing piece of shit. But that's probably what he ended up, he ended up actually being. He folded. He was like, "No, no, I'm good." And he took it off the curb and walked it around and put it in the cart thing right next to him. But that shit just continues to chat my ass. It's such a simple thing, and people are just so lazy and inconsiderate that they can't even be bothered to do something that simple. The next thing I have on my list is what I call aisle awareness. Now, actually think I talked about this one particular story in the past because it would really chat my ass. It really got me heated. And it takes a lot these days. You guys know me. I vent and I rant on here, but anybody who hangs out with me in reality knows that it does, like I'm not out there looking for fights and arguments and things to be negative and bitchy about. I'm just not. You believe me or not, but anybody who actually hangs out with me knows this. We might say jokes and stuff like that, but I'm never out there looking for fights. It's a waste of my time and effort and energy. My energy is tapped in my emotional demon rage the past couple weeks anyway. So I'm certainly not looking for extra crap that's not important. But if you remember this story, there was this guy who's with his wife. She was leading the way. She was leading the charge. She had a list and she's out walking aisle to aisle and he's pushing the cart like a and he looks just sad and dejected like a real beta bitch boy cuck simp. And I'm not saying because he's pushing the cart, because actually I like that. I like that he was like, I'll do the heavy stuff. You pick what you want, and I'll take care of carrying it and lugging it. That's fine by me. Um, but just his demeanor was just like hunched over. The guy clearly doesn't eat right or exercise. He was skinny, fat. He had a muffin top, and he just looked like a shell of a man who was not happy in his life for one reason or another. And I felt bad upon first glance. Not because I thought his wife was a battle axe, just was like, that's no way to live, regardless of the reason. His wife could be a saint, but something about his life, he just looked like he was not happy in it. He was just existing, an NPC, a non-player character in life. So she was going down the aisle, and then he would stop behind her until she figured out what brand she wanted, and then she would put it in the car and they would go. But he would stop in the middle of the aisle with his cart perpendicular in the aisle. So he would go down the aisle like this, if you can see on YouTube land, down the aisle, and then when it was time to stop, he would fishtail his cart to be across like this. Don't know why. Logically speaking, it didn't make any sense logistically. So I don't know what he thought he was doing. But what he was doing was blocking everybody else from going on either side of the aisle to get through. And most people are just sitting there waiting and not paying attention because everyone else is in their own little worlds. But not me. I'm trying to get in and out, take care of business. So I just politely said, "Excuse me, sir. You mind moving out of the way so I can get through?" And he goes, "Oh, well, sorry. I didn't realize." Okay. For what you get, you know, it happens to everybody. Sometimes, we're busy, we're in our head. Sometimes we're just like not situationally aware. It happens. We're all human beings. I get it. If you made a mistake, cool. That should have been it. That should have been the trigger in this guy's brain, like, oh, I was blocking traffic. I will remember next time not to block traffic like this. That should have been it. As an adult, like I said, I wasn't trying to assume what was going on in this guy's life. given the benefit of the doubt that he was in the fog of war and he just kind of forgot that there was other people around, and he's like, oh crap, you're right, my bad, I'll get over. Got it. I've done that too. Or maybe I'll get a text or a phone call. I'm looking at my list or whatever. I'm like, oh, do I need this? And oh crap, sorry, I forgot there's other people around. My bad. I'll move over real quick. Happens. Well, then I get to another aisle. And guess who I see blocking the second aisle? This fucking dweeb with his wife out doing her thing at the lead. Mind you, she's not blocking anybody. If the stuff she's looking for is on the left side of the aisle, right side if you're on YouTube land, she's on the left side against that aisle, out of the way of traffic. And there's this triple B parked again, perpendicular, horizontal through the lane, blocking everybody. And everybody, all the other NPCs are sitting there just not saying a word. And I go right up again. Hey, sir. I go, it's me again. You're kind of blocking. And his reaction was, this is the first time I'm realizing that I'm doing this. Sorry, but it was almost the same thing. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't realize. And that's when I was like, really? I go, really? I went like this. Like, never mind. Thank you. Have a good one. And I walk through. Well, wouldn't you know it? I get a couple further aisles down the grocery store. And who do I see blocking the fucking aisle again for the third fucking time? Sorry, T, family show. This absolute Fonzanoon slouched over the handlebar of the cart, looking across, parked across again for the third time. And then there's the NPCs sitting there in their own little worlds, not moving because they're not going to say anything. They're just going to wait for the traffic to clear on its own before the computer tells them to keep moving again. And I'm fucking fit to be tied. And I still try to maintain frame, maintain composure, but I'm not letting him off as politely, and I'm calling him out on it. And I go, sir. And he looks at me, I go, this is now the third time. This is now the third time you've done this. And he tries to go, oh, sorry, I didn't realize. I said, hold it. Because we had this conversation. I said, do you not remember we did this 2 other times today? The same, you and me, not you and other people, you and me. The other people just didn't want to say anything because they're in their own little worlds as well. So tell me, how many more times does this have to happen before it clicks in your brain that I shouldn't be doing this? I shouldn't be inconveniencing literally everybody else in the aisle because of my lack of situational awareness and consideration. How many more times do we have to have this same conversation before you start to change? You start to adapt. Because I know you don't want to have this conversation, right? You don't want to be called out consistently for the same thing over and over again. That's called psychosis. Doing the same thing over, expecting a different result. So do you just not realize, or do you have amnesia? I'll help you. Let me help you. What's the problem here? Why you can't figure out as a grown adult, a married man, how you got a wife, I don't know. It makes me feel like a piece of shit because I can't even get second dates. And here you are married, probably have kids too, and you can't figure out how to adapt with something as simple as not blocking the goddamn aisle of a grocery store for the third straight time? Do you need some sort of medical assistance? I could do self-aid buddy care. I was in the military. We learned that shit. I could do CPR. Maybe you're not getting oxygen and blood flow to your brain. Tell me what it is, sir. I'm here for you now. I'm very concerned that as a grown adult, husband, probably father in America, cannot figure this out. Can't figure this out. That's concerning to me, sir. Help me help you. What is it you need to get your head out of your ass to not inconvenience literally everybody else in the grocery store? And you think it's just me. It's not. I'm the only one who's stupid enough to say anything expecting a different result. Maybe I'm the nut job. Thinking, oh, if I call him out enough, he'll figure it out. Maybe I'm the crazy person. Maybe I am. But it absolutely boggled my mind that this guy, he was conscious. It's not like he was a robot. He was a sentient being. And it was almost like I was in Groundhog Day. Like he had a glitch in his server, in his system. The Matrix kept glitching him out, and that was the problem. And it's like he couldn't get at, he didn't know because he kept glitching out and then going back to reverting back to his backup update. The last known software update was before the first time I called them out. And he didn't get a chance to actually update his programming to adjust. He kept shorting out and reverting back to the last backup, the last iCloud backup. And the last iCloud backup said, I've never been called out like this before. I never realized I was doing this before. That's the only reason, that's the only justification I can see. His circuitry was jacked up. He needed a new memory card or something. But please, for the love of God, please remember that you are not the only person in the grocery store, or the world for that matter. There are 8 billion people in this world. There are 330 million people in this country. The math does not calculate to being on your side in this idea that you're the only person. Statistically speaking, it is impossible for you to be the only one. Even if you were the only customer, there are still people that work at the grocery store, so you will never be the only one. If that store is open, you will never be the only person in there. So just remember that. Write it on your hand, tattoo it on your forehead. Do whatever you got to do to remember. I am not the only person in the grocery store. There are other people. So any action I take, it can and likely will affect other people around me. So move your damn cart. When you're in the aisle, right side, we're in America, you go down the right side. If you have to stop to look at the left side of the aisle, move your cart over to the side so that other people can get through and you're not standing in the middle of the aisle to block other carts and people from getting through. Grab your shit and get moving to the next item. Aisle awareness. Other people are going to be in these aisles. Cash register manners. Next one on the list. There's like a separate cash register etiquette to follow. It's very different from the self-checkout. Self-checkout, most of the time, there is a human being there at the, commanding the area, and it's, hey, this one's open, you go here. If you have a problem, the light will light up and I'll come to you with your problem. And it's a little different. People are being directed. It's kind of idiot-proof almost. They're kind of herding the cattle over there, the NPCs over there. The regular human line with a cashier, maybe a bagger sometimes. By the way, I can't go to the self-checkout because it's express items, it's express only. My grocery store does not have a regular self-checkout for regular items. And I've tried going, and they're like, no, sir, you have more than 10 items. You can't be in here. Give me a break. I'm helping you guys out by doing the work myself. Let me just do the work myself. But no, they won't let me do it. So I have to go to the human line. Because most of the time I'm getting more than 10 items. So I'm in the human line. And what you have to remember is, once again, you are not the only person cashing out, checking out. So if your shit is on the conveyor belt, when you finish with your shit, put the little divider out there. That's a next level courtesy. That's not one of those things where if you don't do it, you ought to be ashamed of yourself, like the guy parking his ass in the middle of an aisle. That's a second level courtesy. So you don't have to do it. But the baseline courtesy is when I get behind you or someone else gets behind you and they put the divider in between, you don't give shit. You don't get mad that they're also going to put their stuff on there, because I've dealt with that before where people will huff and puff like, you can't wait till I'm done with my... No, bitch. I can wait, but I don't have to wait. There is a half-open conveyor belt. I'm trying to get my stuff checked out, make it as easy as possible for the cashier and the bagger, so they don't have to wait for me to put my stuff on late, and they're sitting there with their thumbs up their asses while other people are behind me in line. You don't wait until the conveyor belt's empty and the next person leaves for you to start putting your shit up there. You're holding up the rest of the line. So I'm not doing that. I'm going to put my stuff on there. Once there's room, I'm dividing and I'm putting my shit on there. It goes faster for me, selfishly speaking, and it's better for the rest of the line and the people around, and the cashier and the bagger don't have to wait either. So that by time you're done with your shit, I can move up, I can give my bags to the bagger and be like, hey, I brought my own bags. Don't even worry about wasting the plastic. I got you. And if you need help, I'm here to help. Make this a smooth process as possible. So don't give shit. If you're going to huff and puff, I'm going to call you out on it. Oh, you're going to put your stuff on while my stuff's on? That's what the divider is for. Why do you think they invented the conveyor belt divider? It's so that you could put your shit up there and I could put my shit up there, and the cashier is not going to charge you for my shit, and vice versa. If they didn't want you to use it, they wouldn't invent it. So you getting mad doesn't even make any sense. That's just ego and ignorance. So move along. But if you feel so inclined, next level, when all your shit's on the belt, you put the divider on behind you, so they'll let the person behind you know, hey, I'm done here. You can get on in as well. And if you're third level, you're really next level, you start moving your cart out of the way so that they can get even closer to start putting their stuff on. Because sometimes the carts create the longer line, and even though there's a space on the conveyor belt, the guy is too far behind to put his stuff on. I move the cart if I can to give them space to get in there to start putting their shit on there. That's next level. That's not expectation. That's real, professional level courtesy. The next thing is the proximity stuff in the cash register line. I get it. Things get busy, long lines, happen, and you're trying to get fit tightly in there so that you're not blocking maybe a walkway behind you or whatever it may be. But you have to have cart awareness in the line so you're not hitting me in the back. And I have to have cart awareness for the people in front of me too. I'm not going to get up on their ass so that they can't get around their cart to pick their stuff up to put it on the conveyor belt. I'm going to give them space. If I have to turn along the side of the area by where the drinks are, sometimes they have the little fridge in the front there. I'll go parallel to the fridge to give them space, and then I'll turn left into the line. But if I'm going back and forth, if I have stuff in the front end of my cart, where the kids' seats usually are, if I have fruits or whatever in there, I'll put them in the top there. If I have to go around to my cart to get that and your cart's blocking me, um, you're in the wrong. That's simple as that. It's not as egregious as the guy sitting perpendicular in the aisle, but it's simple manners. That's all it is. And then when you're paying, again, card awareness. If you put all your shit on the belt and then they say, okay, here's the charge, and then they have the little credit card machine to the right of the cashier, and you leave your cart back behind you next to the conveyor belt portion to where I can't get in to put my shit in there, inconsiderate. Move your cart up to let the bagger put the bags in the cart, or you put the bags in the cart, and that way you're leaving room for other people to move in. Now I can finish putting my shit in the front of the belt. Someone behind me could put their shit in the back of the belt. We put the divider up, and the line's moving, and nobody's waiting, and things are moving smoothly. But you just parking your ass in your cart back there, and then you got to go fumble through your purse or your wallet in your pocket to go find your credit card or cash or your 55 different coupons, which you didn't check before, while you're waiting for them to bag your shit. Get your coupons out beforehand, or coupons, however you want to pronounce it. No, they got to wait, and then they got to park their stupid cart back there, so now everybody's waiting. And I got news for you. If you're doing that, I'm moving your cart. I'm politely moving your cart. Or at the very least, I'm asking, hey, sir, ma'am, you mind moving your cart out of the way so we can keep things moving while you're getting ready to pay? You're literally holding everybody up. There's 10 people behind us, and you're the weak link here. You're the stopgap. Take all the time you want finding your credit card and your coupons and whatever. But move your goddamn cart. Simple. Pretty easy. I thought it was pretty easy. The next thing when we're talking about carts is general cart positioning. We talked about this in the aisles, but there's also different areas of the grocery store that don't necessarily have aisles. They just kind of have spaces. Move your cart out of the way where you see the normal traffic moving in those big spaces. Okay? The movement is going to be closer to where items are, grocery store items, food items. That's where people are going to be moving. If you park your cart right there where people are moving, now you're stopping it for everybody else. Well, I got to go to this side real quick, so let me park my cart in the middle and go over there. No. Cart awareness, okay? In aisles, it's 2 lanes of traffic, back and forth. You're not going on the opposite end. You're staying on the right side, and you're moving back and forth, and when you have to stop, you park it on the side, and you move forward. If somebody has to get behind your cart, move the cart for them. Oh, yeah, let me move that for you real quick. In the middle, bigger spaces by like the deli area, the bakery area, wherever that is, get your cart out of the way so other people who are not stopping in that area can get through. Once again, it all goes back to the same principle. You are not the only one in the grocery store. You're not the only one there. So please, remember that. Consider others. It's the same with when you're sitting in one spot in an aisle where the milk area, trying to decide what kind of milk you want, and nobody can get in there because you're standing there. I'm excusing myself. If you're standing there and you're like, oh, which one should I pick? Sometimes they actually hold the door open, so let all the refrigeration out while they're waiting. Oh, should I pick the skim? Should I pick this date? Should I pick that date? I move in. Excuse me. I know what I want, and I'm not waiting for you. Respectfully, I'm going to get this. I'm going to be on my way. Same thing with the cart. If you have to sit and wait for the butcher to slice up your gabagool, cool, wait. Move your goddamn cart out of the way so that the people who don't need gabagool can move on with their lives and go get whatever it is they need. Simple common courtesy, folks. Simple common courtesy. And it stems from the simplest of ideas is remembering that you're not the only one here. If you can remember that changes the game for everything you do in the grocery store. Every aisle you turn in, you should just say to yourself in your head, I'm not the only one here. I'm not the only one here. And then you'll start to your brain will take over. You'll start to subconsciously remember, I'm not the only one here. Therefore, I should move my car out of the way because I'm not the only one here. I shouldn't stand here for too long and loiter in the middle of the aisle because I'm not the only one here. I shouldn't leave my car in the cash register to hold up the line because I'm not the only one here. And then the last one that I get in my grocery store, and it's the same principle, it's the speakerphone phone calls or the FaceTime phone calls on speaker. Talking about the most ridiculous, egregious, despicable conversation pieces. Every time. It's almost like I feel like I'm in an episode of Impractical Jokers or Candid Camera, where they're talking about nasty, despicable shit. There's families there, there's kids there, and they're on speaker, again, thinking they're at their house. Of course, they're in pajamas and slippers, thinking that I'm just home. It's just me and the person I'm talking to. There's nobody else around in the world. And then you can't have a conversation with an employee like, hey, can you tell me where the peanut butter is? And oh, I can't hear you because this asshole is having a fight with his girlfriend on FaceTime on speaker, and all I hear is them yelling at each other. Oh, by the way, he's standing in the middle of the aisle, so people can't even get around to maneuver around and avoid it. Put your phone on regular. Put earbuds in. Everybody has earbuds. I see the earbuds in. You have the earbuds on around your ears or in your ears, or you wear the stupid, like, the neck thing. They have, like, the one that goes around your neck and then the earbuds go in that way. I don't know if it's got a battery charger or if it's noise or whatever the hell that is. I see it on you. We see it on you. Use them. It's not that difficult. Nobody wants to hear your bullshit. Additionally, nobody wants to be distracted by you screaming like nobody else is here. You're not at your house. You're in a public space. Other people exist. If people just thought to care about others even one tit hair more in this world, we would be an exponentially better place. If you just remembered, I am not the only one here, that would make it an exponentially better experience in life. But there are so many inconsiderate, ignorant people out there, just clueless people. And I know most of them don't do it to be dickheads and be mean and think that they're better than everybody else. Some do. Most don't. Most are just clueless dopes. They don't know how to critically analyze. They don't know how to think independently, live independently, realize the world around them in any way, shape, or form. They're just, again, non-player characters. Whatever the Matrix is telling them to do, they're just existing like zombies. And there's only one step you need to take. It's just remembering that you're not the only person here. And that will start the process of you being less of an absolute clueless idiot, dopo, moron, jabroni. It'll make your experience better too. Because guess what? Now you don't have to have a guy like me chewing your ass out for blocking the aisle 4 different times, 3 different times, whatever it was. He wasn't going to get to 4, that's for goddamn sure. I was going to T-bone his car. I already made it up in my mind. If this is the 4th time, I'm running through him. Right through. And I was going to use the same excuse as he used. Oh, I didn't realize you were there. I thought I was the only one in the goddamn grocery store, fella. My bad. It won't happen again. And then I'll forget. And I'll do it again if need be. That's what I was going to do for number 4. But please, I know the LPDS universe doesn't need to hear this, but tell your friends. Spread this word. Tell them to listen to this episode if you think that they're part of that problem. The grocery store is a necessity here in America. That's where we get our sustenance and food. We have to go there. Unless you want to get takeout all the time, and that's a different problem in and of itself. But most of us, you got to go to the grocery store. So why can't we make it a good experience for everybody else and yourself? Because, again, you're not going to have guys like me chewing your ass out. You're not going to have people giving you shit and huffing and puffing and T-boning your cart because you're considerate. You remember that there are other people around you. And yeah, people are going to make mistakes. That will happen. But I promise you, if everybody just had that thought in their brain that I'm not the only one here, the problems would exponentially drop in the grocery store. The issues you have, all the things we hate about going to the grocery store will be almost zero, minus the normal mistakes of humanhood, of humanity that we have of being people and not being perfect. But if you're running the numbies on this one, it is statistically impossible that you deal with 15, 16, 17, 18 problems in your one 20-minute session at the grocery store, and all 18, 20 of them are simple human mistakes. It's almost statistically impossible that all 20 issues you have are the one time that those people made a human mistake. Realistically speaking, those people are continuously making those mistakes because they're clueless and have no consideration for others. And we can minimize that exponentially by just this one simple principle. I am not the only one here. We all have to be here to get groceries. We all hate going for the same reasons. Everybody says the same thing. Oh, I hate going to the grocery store. I got to deal with people and this and that. And those are the very same people that go to a grocery store and create the problems that they complain about. Not me. I know that's what you're thinking. Oh, this guy's complaining about this shit. I bet you he does it all the time too. No, I make the human mistakes like everybody else, but you can go check the video footage. There's plenty of surveillance cameras at my store. I am absolutely not part of the problem. I've extended my trip at grocery stores many times to not inconvenience others because I had to practice what I preach. I can't be bitching at Seth for standing in the middle of the aisle 3 times in a row if I'm also going to stand in the aisle more than once in a single stint, in a single session. So I am acutely aware and hyper-focused on being as convenient and aware as possible in the grocery store. At the HEB, that's where I go. Used to be ShopRite way back in the day, but they don't have ShopRites down here. So please, for you guys out there in the LPDS universe, you all know somebody who is like this. Maybe you listen to this episode while they're around. You don't have to overtly or directly tell them because you don't want to start a fight maybe. You just listen to the episode while they're around. That'll at least start to plant the seed initially. It's not going to flip people overnight. They're not going to listen to that and be like, "Oh, I wonder if I do that stuff." Because these clueless people are clueless. If they're doing all these things on a regular basis in the grocery store, they're not picking up on context clues. You're going to have to spoon feed them, but this would at the very least set the stage. And then you can start the conversation with them. Hey, are you listening to this right now? Oh, yeah. You ever consider any of this stuff when you're at the grocery store? Oh, no, I guess I haven't. You think you maybe you should? Oh, maybe I should. Yeah, I don't know. I know where it's an uphill battle. I get it. I get it. It's the IQ theory that our old friend Rich had. And it's definitely that IQ theory plays now even more so than ever because at the time he had this theory, the average IQ was 100. I think the average IQ is closer to 90 now in the US because people are just getting dumber. Dumb people are procreating at an alarming rate. And people are getting dumber and school's not helping, parents aren't helping. But if you remember the IQ theory is the average IQ was 100. And there's a standard deviation of 25 each way. So, excuse me, 15 each way. So the high end of average is 115. It's a bell curve, but the average, this is how statistics works from what I remember in college. So the high end, the outliers of the average group, 115. The low end, 85. At the time that this theory was made, the mental disability IQ, where it's like, oh, this person is mentally hindered, whatever cognitive issue they had, they were mentally disabled, considered mentally disabled as a condition. The average for that was 70 at the time. Now, if you go to that sample size of the mentally disabled, the low end of that is 55. The high end of that is 85. Now, what do you notice about the low end of the average IQ group and the high end of the mentally disabled IQ group? They're the same. And we're talking about averages here, which an average means the majority of people are in this 85 to 115. Now, I know they're outliers, but the theory behind it is that there seems to be more people on the low end of that average IQ of 100 than there is at the higher end of that average IQ of 100. And they're meshing an awful lot with the mentally disabled group of the IQ field, if you will. And if you think about it that way, you start to realize, oh, yeah, I am dealing with a lot of not intelligent people. Now, I'm not saying that the IQ is the only way to measure intelligence and smarts. Not at all. That's just one theory based on one particular analytic of measuring someone's cognition, intelligence, and abilities mentally. It's just one data point. This is not a blanket statement that because if you have a lower IQ, you're dumb. You might not be book smart, but you can have emotional intelligence out the wazoo. There's plenty of that going around, or street smarts, whatever you want to call it. So this is not a blanket statement, but if you can go off of that. That will help you sort of temper your emotions because now you're going into grocery store sessions now expecting, oh, I am dealing with people who are not cognitively capable of acting a certain way. And instead of getting angry at them now, that's why I always give the benefit of the doubt because now I just assume like, oh, this is probably a stupid person. Probably dealing with some stuff mentally. So it makes things a lot easier, a lot less stressful for you. So in the meantime, while we're working towards improving etiquette at the grocery store, remember that theory and that'll at least temper your emotions and stress levels as we continue to learn, grow, and improve and help people adapt into more considerate, aware human beings. And that's all I got to say about that. Before we go, very quickly, the big three, the three pillars to staying strong and being a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stressed, more genuine human being, being able to spread that positivity and goodness to all those around you and throughout the land. Number one, exercise every day. Do something every day to improve your health and fitness, wellness, physically, mentally, or emotionally. Number two, the hardest one to do, don't be a shitty, negative person. Be a kind person. When the opportunity arises to be negative and shitty, take a deep breath, assume the IQ theory, take the LPDS step back, and just remove yourself from the situation. Put your phone down, close your laptop, walk away, whatever you got to do. Do it. Don't engage in the negativity and bring on more negativity into your world. Number three, the most important one, be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. And you can do this actively by taking time each day to think of at least one good thing in your life or one good thing that happened to you in the last 24 hours. And what your life would be like without that thing. And that'll immediately put you in a state of gratitude. And when you're in that state of gratitude, the more frequently you're in that state, the easier it is for you to not be a shitty negative person, to remove yourself from those situations. And the more opportunities you have now to go focus on more positive, productive things like exercise. And if you do these three things a little bit each and every day, and a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, I promise you, you'll be a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stressed, more genuine human being, be able to spread that positivity and goodness to all those around you and throughout the land. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell your friends and enemies and hit the hotline 202-670-1114. Hotline still works. I check it regularly just to make sure it still works. So feel free to call in whenever you want. You can call me on my bullshit. You can tell me you disagree with me on something. You can give me a joke, a bit, an impression, a prank call, a question, advice, whatever you want to do. I'm here for it. Hit the hotline 202-670-1114. Thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.